Why did the South African Police Services decline Renee Barnard's appointment? What does the SAPS affirmative action policy entail? Why did Renee Barnard quit the SAPS? And why is Renee and Solidarity taking the matter to the United Nations? What time is it? It's question time. Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Mpho Tsedu. When she applied in 2005 for a superintendent position dealing with the Police National Evaluation Services, which handles public complaints about police services, little did Renee Barnard know that it would result in a protracted battle that even ended up in the courts. After about 9 years of granting of leaves to appeal, both in favor of Renee and others favoring the SAPS, the Constitutional Court recently ruled in favor of the South African Police Services on Mrs. Barnard's affirmative action case. Meanwhile, Renee and her legal representative Solidarity have decided to take the matter up with the United Nations and the International Labour Organization. My guest in studio today is Renee Barnard herself, who's now a former member of the South African Police Services, and General Solomon Makhale, who is the national spokesperson of the South African Police Services. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Mrs. Barnard, just give us a rundown of what happened until now that you're sitting with us in studio here.
It was a very emotional journey, Mpho. From the time I was 6 years old, I really wanted to become a police officer.
Okay, that story I know.
Okay.
You applied for a post.
I applied for the post.
Yes.
I was a member of the police by then, about 18 years service. I was 10 years in my rank as a captain. I was working at the National Evaluation Services, dealing with complaints against the police. That complaints entails everything up until poor investigation, poor service delivery, non-responsive people that didn't respond to complaints from the community. These type of complaints also originates from the National Commissioner's Office, the Minister's Office, the Parliament, and then also from members of the public that wrote letters to the National Commissioner.
Okay.
So I applied for the position. The post was vacant. It was advertised. It was advertised so everybody could apply, even people from the non-designated group, which means white males could apply. So I applied for the position. I was invited for the interview. I went for the interview in 2005, came out as the top performer of the interview. And then they decided the difference between me and this the person that would have enhanced service representativity by then, African male, was 17.5%, the difference. And then they decided, no, the difference is too big, so they're going to re-advertise the post, withdraw the post due to affirmative action, which
Who told you that?
The letter came afterwards because I inquired. When I heard the post was withdrawn, I inquired, and then they say the recommendation will not enhance representativity, and the post is not critical. That was what they explained by then. And then they say the post must be withdrawn and re-advertised the next round, which they did then. 6 months later, the post was re-advertised. So in the meantime, I understood it 100% because I was also serving on an equity forum, representing level 8 as the captains, to serve on that body to see to affirmative action. So I understood that quite clearly. And I went on with my work, I continued, and then the post was advertised again in 2006. So in the meantime, I had like a case book of all my complaints that I attended to during the period I started working.
So you felt that you qualified?
I did qualify, definitely. And then I did a calculation on the type of complaints that I was dealing with, and also the people that I reacted to, the complaints that I attended to. And 80% of my complainants by then was African people. So then I asked the commissioner by then, listen, I'm not going to waste everybody's time. I'm not going to waste my time, not the panel's time. And I'm still a white person, so can I apply for the post again? And they say, no, you must apply. So I did apply. I was again invited for an interview, and again, I was the best candidate. But this time, the difference between me and the next suitable candidate that was also qualified, and the panel also recommended him, was 7.5%. It was an African male. So what the panel did, it's quite within the national instruction. They must send up 3 names to the National Commissioner to say, listen, these 3 people are both or all 3 suitable, qualified, and they can be promoted. Preference number 1, number 2, number 3. So then the National Commissioner had to make a decision.
Yes.
But the Divisional Commissioner by then, he wrote a big motivation on why I must be promoted. And he said there's service delivery needs that must also be attended to. So
I have to ask this question. Who was the Divisional Commissioner?
Commissioner Rasagatla.
Okay. Now, Commissioner Rasagatla then says you qualify, or rather recommends that you get appointed. You don't get appointed, and then you claim that the post was withdrawn, or rather the advertisement was withdrawn, or the post was...
The post was again withdrawn, despite the fact that there was 2 African males that was also recommended for the post.
And you claim that this was because you were there, right? You were an applicant.
Yeah.
What makes you think you're so important that a post can be withdrawn because you have applied?
You know what? The post should have never been withdrawn. If they would have appointed any of the other 2 candidates for the sake of representativity, then I would have never complained. Never.
General Makhale.
Yes.
Why are you discriminating against a fellow South African?
Well, that question really is not a question at all, because the highest court in the land has made a ruling and it found in our favor. So we did not unfairly discriminate against anybody.
No, I didn't say you
otherwise,
unfairly discriminated. I'm just saying that you discriminated.
Well, in terms of our laws, discrimination is allowed.
Okay.
But that discrimination has to be fair, because we have to address past imbalances. There's no way that you can address past imbalances without discriminating. But that discrimination has to be fair and has to be within the bounds of the law, and that was the finding of the Constitutional Court.
So, had she been black, she would have gotten the appointment.
Well, that question also really doesn't make a difference, because indeed eventually she was promoted before she left the police, and she can confirm that indeed she got a promotion. So the issue and the general sentiment that is being expressed, particularly by Solidarity, is to try and paint the South African Police Service and government in general as racist departments, and that's entirely not true. There are people of all different kinds of races that are still serving in the South African Police Service, and are doing very well. And we continue to promote people say white people, for example. If, of course, we are of the view that it's not going to address issues of representativity, then we take a different option. And where there are gaps, where we, like we did in her case, where we found that we could actually promote her, but in a different department, and it worked. It's a pity that she then decided not to stay.
Was it promoting her to an equal post?
How you mean? Like the one that she had applied for?
Yes.
If memory serves me right, yes. It was a lieutenant colonel, right? Yes.
So what did you want? Did you want the money or the title?
You know what? It's not about the money, it's about influence. I worked operationally for a long time. Before I joined head office, I was about a serving member at operational level for 17 years.
Yeah.
So I came to head office. A lot of people at head office level never worked on a station, never worked operationally. And again, complaints against the police, you need to know the business. And that was my passion. I served members of all race groups.
So you were
not
interested in this promotion that they gave you?
Of course, everybody wants to excel. I think you yourself, if you want to be, everybody wants to grow in their career, and the police was my career by choice. I'm a career policeman. It's not a mere job to me. And I wanted to make a difference. And I enjoyed working with complaints, because you meet people in the worst day of their life, and to promote the police's image outside, because there's a very bad perception of the SABC.
So
and
what is your answer to my question?
My answer is definitely for promotion and to have a bigger influence. I was a captain by then. I was serving or investigating complaints. Sometimes station commissioners were generals. And then I have to go to a general, being a captain. You must remember it's a hierarchy. So how can I address a general?
Okay. I want us to just dwell a bit into the policy of affirmative action, particularly within the police force, but we'll only do that after the break. This question time, please don't go away.
Education can see bursary enough to
this is not that we continue from government.
Said that must be 16 and that prevented they cannot afford
concern about and contracts
more wide products than we have, and
weekday PM on News.
Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time. My guest today, Ronit Barnett. She's an ex-SAPS member, and General Solomon Makhali is the national spokesperson of the SAPS. Now, General, I think let's just get to understand broadly affirmative action within the SAPS. How are you handling it? And I'll tell you why I'm asking this question, because I meet black police officers who are saying the police force is not transformed. Now, you have Ms. Barnett here, who says the police force is transforming too badly that we are actually ending up suffering.
Yeah. It's always that challenge. One has to try and balance, because there are people who then feel exactly that way, that we're not doing enough to promote Africans and Indians and colors, and then sometimes you get a view that no, white people are not being promoted here, and you know, we've been in one rank for however so many years. But fact of the matter is that especially the South African Police Service, we want to ensure that there is representativity across all the different sections of the South African Police Services. We employ now close to 200,000 people. And there are certain environments that haven't transformed as much as we would like them to, especially the specialist one. And also, if you look at middle management and junior management, there hasn't been significant transformation taking place there.
But would you achieve that transformation if you're not having officers? She says she goes to an interview. The other people who are contesting for the position with her do not match the scoring, or they don't match hers, you know, which means she's way too qualified and experienced, I guess, and more capable to do the job. And you're saying you wanted Sergeant Mpo to occupy that position, but Sergeant Mpo is not as skilled.
But remember, that was a debate that we were having a long time ago. There's been a lot of changes, and over the last 20 years, a lot of people have gained experience. But also remember that we, when the SAPS was formed in 1995, we were also taking experienced police officers from the former
homelands,
yes, the homelands. So it cannot be said that, you know, we are taking people that are not experienced and replacing them with people that are experienced. That's not the case. There are certain things that you've got to balance, and you'll find that in certain environments, people of color were not allowed to train and to get involved in those specialist environments. And what is changing now, in fact, let me just add this point also to say, when you look at transformation, we're not only looking at issues of race, we're also looking at issues of gender.
I wanted to come to that.
Yes.
She's a woman.
Yeah.
White woman.
Indeed she is. So we're looking at issues of gender, and we are saying at this point in time, we're sitting at 37% of close to 200,000 people are females. And the National Commissioner would like to get to a point where it's a 50-50, so that there's racial representativity, there's also gender representativity. That's where we would like to be. So
she didn't stand a chance as a woman? You couldn't get some points somewhere to say, you know what, you are a woman.
But we did. And that is why she was promoted from a captain to a lieutenant colonel, but in a different environment.
Which she didn't want.
Well, unfortunately, if all of us got everything that we want, whenever we say, no, I don't want to be here, I want to be here, then it's going to be a bit of a challenge. I mean, if you said today that you don't want to be where you are sitting, you want to become CEO, and they said no, then you walk away. I mean, that's not how the world works, is it?
Were you being a spoiled brat then?
Absolutely not, Mpo. I want to differ, absolutely. You know what, I worked with a lot of people, African people, ground-level policemen, that's still sitting, African males, that's sitting for 15 to 20 years in their rank. They've got the right color, they've got experience, they've got skills, they've got qualifications. But now, some of them come to me, before I resigned out of the service, they will come to me and they'll bring their application forms and ask me, listen, can you please verify everything is correct? And then they were joking and say maybe they must go for a sex change because now they're African, but they are not the right gender. And that's how actually ridiculous this is. Employ people that's got a passion to work with people. I can ask you a question. If you are struggling with the police service and you come and you ask for assistance, do you care what color of person is assisting your complaint, as long as it's a person that's got a passion to serve and a person that's got knowledge? And the fact that I wanted to be employed at the complaints investigation, it's a very difficult department to work with. Okay. You sit with people that's dissatisfied. And you have to uplift your company like SABC's image to the people. So it's very difficult, and for sure.
Has the position been filled?
Well, the structure has changed. We're talking things that happened in 2005. So much time has lapsed. But what is important to bear in mind is that the South African Police Service is at a stage where the new National Commissioner, well, it's not that really new, she's been there for 2 years, trying to change things to make sure that, the statements that she's making in terms of people being sitting in one rank for 10 or 15 years get promoted. In fact, as we are speaking today, we have promoted close to 8,000 constables to sergeants. We've promoted warrant officers, moved them from one salary band to a higher salary band. There's another issue that we in terms of promotions, that Solidarity has taken us to court about, because we're saying we need to promote our people now that matter is sitting and hanging in court. And we are hoping now that we've the Constitutional Court has dealt with the matter of Ms. Barnard. We can then move forward with all those other matters so that we can promote our people.
But did you have to go to court in the first place? Was the position so critical that you can't have a white African woman occupying it?
Remember, we do have white Africans women in the South African Police.
Fine, that part I understand. I'm talking about this particular post.
I'm coming to your point to answer it. Let's not make it appear as if we do not have. We do have African-speaking people in the South African Police Service that are serving and that are being promoted as and when there are opportunities.
Fact.
Now, the issue that we are trying to address, if somebody says that a person cannot be overlooked because they happen to be white, then it talks to issues of affirmative action. Then that is why that principle had to be taken to court so that it can be clarified for all of us. Now we all know as a country where we stand. We know now when issues of this nature do arise, how best to deal with them, because there'll always be, those issues will always come up, be they in government or in the private sector. But now at least there is clarity so that everybody knows when you are faced with such a difficult situation, because yes, you want to make sure that people that have had benefits in the past, somehow we accommodate them, but we also create opportunities for people that were denied those opportunities in the past.
You are aware that you haven't answered my question, right?
I have answered your question.
No, you haven't.
Okay, ask it again.
Was the post that critical that you wouldn't have a white African woman fill it out of 200,000?
We were not at 200,000 at the time,
okay.
But never mind. The answer to your question is as simple as follows. To say that at the time, we felt that it would not meet our employment equity targets.
Okay.
It's not about whether the post is critical or it's not critical. That was not a consideration before the courts. What is before the courts is to do with employment equity and whether we did not follow the laws.
All right. You're taking the South African Police Service to court again, this time an international one. Let's hear about that after the break. This is Question Time. Please don't go away.
Zoom into Africa. This is Madagascar. The president is Mr. Heri Rajaonarimampianina. Madagascar got independent from France on 26 June in 1960. The population is more than 21 million people. One of the major languages spoken is French. Monetary unit is Ariari.
Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time. My guests today are Renette Barnett. She's an ex-SAPS member, and General Solomon Makhale is the national spokesperson of the South African Police Services. Now, Ms. Barnett, do you have confidence in the courts of South Africa?
Well, that's a very interesting question.
Give me an interesting answer.
The Supreme Court of the Labour Court first ruled in my favour. They used the Labour laws.
Yes.
There's an Equity Act. The Equity Act specifies that we need to address the imbalances of the past, which I have no problem with. But then also there's a definition of a designated person, and I'm part of the designated group, and it hasn't been changed yet. And as the General explained, for a person to discriminate, there can be discrimination, absolutely, but that discrimination must be rational and fair. The police admitted during all these processes, in the Labour Court, Labour Appeal Court, Supreme Court of Appeal, and in the Constitutional Court, that they did discriminate against me. But according to me, they failed to prove that it was rational and fair, because up until now, they didn't explain why didn't they promote one of the two African people. And as I explained from the onset, I wouldn't have been here today if it wasn't for that. So the Labour Court ruled in our favour. They gave good case law as well, and they used the legislation of South Africa. Then it went to the Labour Appeal Court. They ruled in the SAB's favour. Then we took it to the Supreme Court of Appeal. That decision was very, it's a very balanced decision, and not only because it favoured me, they said it's a very peculiar tale of the new South Africa. We are working towards a non-racial society, like the Constitution specify. There must not be any discrimination for race and gender. But now the Constitutional Court came and they ruled directly against the Supreme Court of Appeal. So it's absolutely two different worlds. And up until now, again, was it really fair? Was it rational? To come back to the fact of critical or not, that post was service delivery was part of the strategic plan of the police. 2005 to 2010, they had 4 strategies. And the 4th strategy was to improve service delivery to the community. So this post addressed service delivery. So up until now, I think I'm not going to benefit anything at all if we go further now. It's only now about a principle.
Okay. So do you have confidence in the courts?
It's actually a very difficult question, but
Yes or no?
Not in the Constitutional Court's verdict, no.
Because it ruled against you?
Not against me. I don't think they took everything into consideration. If you look at the purpose of the Equity Act...
Why did you go there if
I didn't
thought...
go there. The police took the matter on appeal to the Constitutional Court.
Yeah, well, you could have defied.
How can I defy? They made an application to appeal and it was granted.
Did you go there under protest? Did you go there knowing that?
No, definitely not. I thought that the Constitutional Court will defend me as do not discriminate against me. I think that's one of their Bill of Rights, not to be discriminated against.
Yeah, but the Constitutional Court is the highest court of the land.
It is. No,
right?
it is. And that's why
I would suppose... if the Supreme Court of Appeal had ruled against you, you would have gone to the Constitutional Court.
It's debatable. It depends on what they would have ruled.
Would you have given up?
I still believe that I had a good case.
Fine.
Nicole.
Would you have given up if the Supreme Court had ruled against you?
Maybe not, no.
Fine. Which means you would have gone to the same Constitutional Court which the SAPS went to.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I don't understand, why do you now want to take the matter to the ILO and the United Nations if you love your country so much that you want to contribute to transformation, as you have said, you want to contribute to service delivery, which is very critical in as far as the SAPS is concerned and the image thereof. So which means you wanted to contribute in revisioning or at least reimaging the SAPS, right? But the highest court of the land, the Constitutional Court, rules against you, and you feel that to hell with them. We're going the ILO route now.
You know what? There's a lot of competent police officers of all skin colors and of all race groups that wants promotion and that's entitled to promotion. I mean, if you look at all the service delivery protest actions in the country, all the bad publicity that SABC is getting, and I mean, I didn't paint SABC in any bad light. Never, ever, ever did I paint SABC in a bad light because I loved the organization. But I mean, people are...
I mean, what has been said, it's not...
I never said anything bad about SABC.
Well, you're representatives there.
You know what? I think they took on the decisions that was never clarified. I mean, up until today, the National Commissioner didn't come and explain why didn't he promote 2 suitable people.
There is this representative. Ask him.
Why didn't they promote them?
Look, that's not the issue at all. The issue here had to do with equity, and that's what the Constitutional Court ruled on. And you must remember that you've got 11 highly skilled, highly competent people that are sitting there who made this ruling. Sometimes you get a majority and a minority report. In this instance, all of them, they agreed. So I think that one can sit and debate and discuss this matter. It's not going to take us anywhere. Fact of the matter is, what we should be asking ourselves is that, is the South African Police Service acting in the best interest of this country by allowing people that were denied opportunities in the past to get those opportunities, by putting mechanisms in place to manage the people that were found within the system that are able to do the work, and then incorporate other people so that it's not just one section of the community that continues to benefit and others are not.
Will you go out to defend this?
I'm not sure if it will have any relevance here in South Africa. I mean, as she indicated, it's an issue of principle. For us, the highest court in the land has made a ruling, and we're happy with that.
How much is the principle costing you?
Solidarity, it's about close to $1 million. I don't know SABC's legal cost. I think
even
more.
No, let's forget SABC.
Up until now, it's about R1 million.
Where do you get that money from?
I think it's from membership fees. I don't know. I'm not a Solidarity Work employee. I'm only part of the organization.
Okay. When did you join?
In 2003.
Okay. Let me thank you and hope that indeed transformation will carry on within the SAPS. Thank you very much for
Thank you so much.
It will.
Okay.
Yeah.
At all costs.
And it must.
Okay. That was Question Time for today. A big thank you to Make Us Send to you for watching the show. We welcome your feedback via email, questiontime@sabc.co.za, our Twitter handle @questiontime24. From me and the crew, have yourself a wonderful time. Goodbye. Have we seen the last of you in politics?
I don't know. No, I'm just okay now with the work that I'm doing. Let me just do one thing at a time. So I don't have any plans for politics.
Watch Question Time with me, Mpho Tsedu, Monday to Thursday at 5:30 p.m. on the SABC News Channel.